Imagine waking up in a city where there is so little oxygen that your body struggles just to find enough air to breathe, where temperatures can plunge far below freezing, and beneath your feet, the ground contains something so valuable that people are willing to risk their lives to find it. This is La Rinconada, Peru, one of the highest permanent settlements on Earth. At first glance, La Rinconada looks like a mistake on the side of a mountain. There are no green valleys surrounding it, no forests, and almost no land where crops can grow. Instead, the settlement stretches across the barren Andes at roughly 5,100 to 5,300 meters above sea level. And just nearby, a gold mine reaches even higher into the mountains. Scientists who have studied people living here describe the environment as one of extreme, chronic hypoxia. At this altitude, atmospheric pressure is roughly half what it is at sea level. That means every breath delivers much less oxygen to the body. And yet, tens of thousands of people have chosen to build their lives here. From a distance, the city appears to climb directly into the mountains. Corrugated metal roofs cover buildings that seem to have been assembled wherever there was enough ground to stand on. Roads turn into mud. Waste collects along the edges of the settlement. And there is almost none of the conventional urban infrastructure you would expect from a city of this size. There is little agriculture here because the altitude makes growing food extremely difficult. So almost everything people need has to be brought up from lower elevations. Which raises a simple question. Why would anyone choose to live here? The answer is hidden inside the mountain, and it is worth more than almost anything else on Earth. Gold.
Before anyone can search for gold, they have to survive La Rinconada itself. For someone arriving from sea level, the first sensation is often the altitude.
The air feels thin, movement becomes exhausting, and even ordinary physical work demands far more from the body. But the remarkable part is that the people living here are not simply visitors passing through. Many have spent years, even decades, adapting to an environment that the human body was never designed to find comfortable. Research on permanent residents has found severe physiological effects associated with life at this elevation, including low blood oxygen levels and chronic mountain sickness. The body responds to the lack of oxygen by producing more red blood cells, trying to compensate for the thin air. In some residents, this adaptation becomes excessive and can itself create serious health problems. Then there is the cold. La Rinconada sits high above the tree line, surrounded by a landscape where vegetation is extremely limited. At night, temperatures can become brutally cold, while homes, made largely from metal, provide little protection from the environment. But perhaps the strangest part is that many residents are not living here because they love the mountains. They came because of work. And almost every part of the local economy is connected to one thing: the gold mines. There are shops, restaurants, transport services, and markets. But behind all of them is the same economic engine. People come to La Rinconada because the mountain offers something that the communities they left behind often could not. A chance. Not a guarantee. A chance. And that difference is what makes this city so fascinating. Because in La Rinconada, people are not simply working for gold. They are gambling their lives for the possibility of finding it. For generations, people from Peru's highland communities have been drawn toward mining areas in search of economic opportunity. As the value of gold increased, La Rinconada expanded dramatically. What was once a remote mining settlement slowly transformed into a city built almost entirely around one thing: extraction. But the gold doesn't simply lie on the surface, waiting to be picked up. It is buried deep inside the mountain. And finding it means entering a world of tunnels, rock, dust, and darkness. Miners work underground, extracting or from narrow passages carved into the mountain. But the rock they bring back contains only tiny amounts of gold. That means enormous quantities of material may have to be processed before anything valuable is recovered. And for many workers, the system isn't like a normal job. One of the most unusual arrangements is known as cocorio. Under this system, miners may work for the mine owner or contractor for a period without a conventional wage. Then, they receive a limited number of days in which they can extract for themselves. The hope is simple. Somewhere inside that rock, there might be enough gold to make all that unpaid labor worthwhile. Think about what that means. You can spend days working underground, knowing exactly how much effort you have given, but you may have no idea what you will actually earn. Because in the end, everything depends on what the mountain gives back. If the rock contains little gold, you can walk away with almost nothing. But if you discover a productive section of ore, the result can be dramatically different. And that possibility is what keeps the system alive. It turns mining into something that almost resembles a lottery. Except here, the ticket isn't money. It's your time, your strength, and your safety. Imagine standing inside a mountain, knowing that the rock around you might contain enough gold to change your life. You cannot see it. You cannot know where the richest vein is. You can only keep digging. That uncertainty is at the heart of La Rinconada. Miners descend into the workings carrying equipment and supplies, moving through an environment where accidents, unstable rock, and difficult working conditions are constant risks. And the higher the mine reaches into the mountains, the more extreme the environment becomes. And yet, people keep going back, because the alternative is often returning to communities where work is scarce and opportunities are limited. This is one of the most important things to understand about La Rinconada. From the outside, it can be tempting to look at the city and ask, why would anyone live like this? But that question assumes people are choosing between La Rinconada and a comfortable life somewhere else. For many, that is not the choice. They are choosing between a dangerous opportunity and very limited opportunities elsewhere. The gold rush, therefore, becomes self-perpetuating. When gold prices rise, the potential reward becomes more attractive. More people arrive, more businesses appear, and the settlement grows. Research on La Rinconada has linked migration into the area with economic pressures, limited formal employment, and the attraction of mining income. But the gamble does not end when a miner leaves the tunnel. The ore still has to be processed. And this is where another problem begins. Because extracting gold from rock can require chemicals that may be far more dangerous than the gold itself. One of the most serious environmental problems associated with the area's informal mining is mercury contamination. Mercury can be used to separate gold from crushed ore. The resulting amalgam is then heated, so the mercury evaporates, leaving the gold behind. But that process can release mercury into the surrounding environment, exposing workers and communities to a toxic substance. So the gamble has changed. At first, the risk was simply whether the mountain would give you gold. Now, the question is what the search for that gold is doing to the people who live beside it. Gold is usually associated with luxury, jewelry, wealth, something polished and valuable, sitting safely inside a shop window. But in La Rinconada, you can see the other side of that story. Here, gold begins as rock. The rock is crushed, processed, and separated, often using methods that create dangerous waste. Mercury can enter the air, soil, and water around mining areas, while discarded material accumulates throughout the settlement. And the environmental damage does not remain inside the mine. It becomes part of everyday life. The town has historically struggled with basic infrastructure, including sanitation and reliable clean water. Studies and reporting from the area have documented serious deficiencies in drainage, waste collection, and other essential services. That creates an extraordinary contradiction. People come here to extract one of the world's most valuable materials, yet many of them live without the basic services that would normally accompany a functioning city. There is gold in the mountain, but clean infrastructure is far harder to find, and the consequences can be seen across the landscape. Metal buildings sit beside piles of waste. Mud fills sections of the roads. Water sources can be affected by mining contamination. The very material that brings wealth into the region can also leave behind pollution that remains long after a particular piece of gold has been sold. For residents, this is not an abstract environmental issue. It is their home. But the danger is not limited to pollution. Life at 5,100 meters is itself a physiological challenge. Scientific studies have found that residents experience chronic hypoxemia, meaning their blood carries less oxygen, and some develop chronic mountain sickness as the body struggles to compensate for the extreme environment. And then there is another cost that is harder to measure. The longer people stay, the harder it can become to leave. A miner may arrive believing he will work for a few years, make enough money, and return home. But the gold keeps calling him back. One bad month becomes another, then another. There is another reason La Rinconada has gained such a dark reputation. The problem is not simply that the city is poor or remote. It is that, For years, the rapid growth of this mining settlement has outpaced the institutions and infrastructure needed to control it. When thousands of people gather around a valuable resource in a remote environment, where informal mining is widespread and government services are limited, a different kind of society begins to emerge. Local economies develop around the mines. Informal businesses appear, and criminal networks can take advantage of the very same environment. Violence also becomes much harder to control. Reports from La Rinconada have described problems involving crime, exploitation, prostitution, alcohol, and violence, while more recent analysis has warned about criminal organizations taking advantage of the informal mining economy. This is why the city has sometimes been described as a place without law. But that phrase can be misleading. La Rinconada is not literally a place where there are no laws. The deeper problem is that formal institutions have struggled to keep pace with the scale and complexity of the settlement. Imagine trying to regulate a city thousands of meters above sea level, built around informal mining, with difficult roads, limited infrastructure, and a population that can fluctuate dramatically with the fortunes of gold. That is an enormous challenge, and the consequences are visible. A person can arrive with almost nothing, find work in a mine, start earning money, open a small business, and build a life. But the very same environment can expose another person to exploitation, violence, or dangerous working conditions. Opportunity and danger exist side by side. The city does not simply produce winners and losers. Sometimes, the same person can be both. Perhaps the most unsettling thing about La Rinconada is that there is nothing accidental about its existence. This city exists because people believe the mountain still has something left to give. Every road, every shop, every metal building, and every crowded street is connected in some way to the same idea. Somewhere beneath the frozen ground could be enough gold to make the suffering worthwhile. And that belief is powerful, because gold doesn't need to promise that you will become rich. It only needs to make you believe that you might. And sometimes that's enough. Enough to bring another miner up the mountain, another family, another worker, looking for a different future. La Rinconada is therefore not simply the world's highest city. It is a monument to what people are willing to endure when opportunity is scarce and hope is buried beneath their feet. The mountain gives people a reason to climb higher, but it never promises that they will make it back down.